Good to see you. And this is the kind of session I do look forward to because it's an interactive session. It's a session where I really hope that we will all have a viewpoint. I'm talking about undeniable truths, and we are all in this life together. We have all had similar experiences, some more than others, depending on your age. But generally speaking, anyone should be in a position to say something about it. Sometimes maybe the sentence at the top isn't all that clear, so you might hesitate, but most of them are straightforward. So let's start with the first one. So your relationships reflect how you treat yourself. This is the visual that ChatGPT came up with, which is reasonable. It's the person looking at themselves and maybe telling him that your relationship with all these people in the mirror reflects the kind of way you treat yourself. If you don't like yourself, you probably won't like others. If you're judgmental, if you're denigrating them, whatever is your position, it is telling you that's how I am with myself. So when I ask you to participate, please remember, we're not looking for an intellectual answer. I've already given you the intellectual. I give myself the easy one. But I'm always looking at somebody who has the courage to really share an experience. It doesn't have to be something too intimate, too maybe revealing, but something we always understand things better by example. So anybody looked at, and it could be the positive and the negative. Don't think, I hate myself, this is why I hate others. It could be you're very generous with your friends. Well, you would be generous with yourself. If you're very tolerant of their shortcoming, you will be tolerant with yourself. So anybody has an example that comes to mind that we should dive into? Or I move to the next one. I would like you to give each a chance to say something about an experience, but you may or may not have something that comes to mind immediately. Anyone? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nobody wants to jump. Okay, let's go to the next one. Try and see also at every time how ChatGPT produced the image. So this is the prompt. The only failure is not trying. Can you see how if you didn't enter the race, well, there's no chance of winning the race or losing it for that matter. Okay? Has anybody not done something and then thought, I wish I had put my name down? Even, let's say you're invited to a party, you don't go, and you say, maybe I should have gone. So the only failure here is not even trying. You found an excuse and you stayed back. You can't all just look at me and smile. I expect somebody to come up with something. I see.
Can I actually tell something about this? So I've started running like 2 years back, and I always thought that I'm a sprinter and not an endurance runner. But last year I have done the full marathon, and I really enjoyed, running in a easy, slow pace rather than the sprinting. So this is the example I can come up with.
Okay, so up until that time, you weren't even trying because you gave yourself a label, I am not endurance, and then you finally went for it. So yes, the only failure up until that point was not trying. Let's see the next one. The only rejection is not asking. You get it? Anybody wants? Let me remind you, maybe asking for a salary raise. Well, if you don't ask, you don't know if you're going to be rejected. I'm not encouraging you to go asking for salary raises. That would cause a bit of a problem mid-year. But at least, I'm just giving you an example. If you don't ask for the order, if you don't ask for the date. If you fancy somebody and you never open your mouth, you keep on thinking about it, but nothing happens. Nobody has had that situation?
The situation happens every day, Mr. Fayez.
Okay, give me an example from your experience. Not, I don't want an intellectual understanding. I have given you that. So, the only rejection is not asking. Have you had a situation where you...
For me, I think it happens because of, the sales field. Some clients are like, just like when I try, they give me like positive indicators, and I was shocked because they didn't tell me anything. And when I say why you didn't ask for these courses, because they say you didn't offer and you didn't ask if we need it or not.
Right. I don't know if all of you realize this is Amr from Takhtir in Qatar. So that was a good example, not asking. And sometimes the best technique is to find different ways to ask. And ask once, ask twice. You realize how small children say they want ice cream. You think they will ask one and take it no for an answer? They'll keep bugging you until you give in and you give them ice cream. So you can't accuse them for not asking. They will ask until they get what they want. And the only mistake is not risking anything. Okay? I don't know if we need to elaborate on that. If you don't take a risk, you're not going to get anywhere. Almost all life is that way. Even crossing the street is a risk. But we take it without thinking. But there's so many big things that we just rather not risk, and then we miss out on life. Let's go to another one. A lot of people tell me, I'd really like to have more self-respect. So this one says, and self-respect through worthy action. If you notice here, the visual that ChatGPT came up with is somebody helping a climber, to go up the mountain. So you're helping a colleague, a friend, a stranger, and sometimes you help, let's say, an old lady to cross the road, or whatever you do that makes you feel good about yourself, have self-esteem rising. Anybody has got an example of this where they've done something, whether it is a charity, whatever you did, that you help you raise your self-esteem? You won't raise your self-esteem by making money. Good luck to you, make money. There's nothing wrong with that. But it means you have to do it through worthy action. If that worthy action means enriching a whole community, great. Nobody would like to have a bit more self-respect, done it and feel good about it? And I know you have, but you just don't tell me. Okay. This one is a bit of a strange one. No one is coming to save you. What? I like the visual. This is somebody in a boat going to a lighthouse, and obviously is in a dark, bleak situation, and by himself, right? So what do we mean by this? This is actually quite a deep one, and I think I'll go into it in a bit more detail, and hopefully this will prompt one of you to say something. So we always think somehow, if things aren't to my liking, somehow there will be a silver bullet. Somehow somebody will come and give me a push or encourage me or whatever. And this one says, no one is coming to save you. Sounds like a kind of a bleak, negative message, but it is how life is. No one is coming to save you. They're busy with themselves. Sometimes they help you, but throughout life, you can't rely on that happening and you just wish for it. That's why a lot of the positive thinking and the, wish for something. Imagine, I don't know if any of you read the book, The Secret. You sit there imagining and then hoping something will just happen because you imagined this. Sridhara, you want to say something? Tell us.
It is actually a positive statement according to me, because many a times that
Sridhara, you're risking giving us an intellectual answer. I want give me an example, please.
For example, many a times I faced
No, not we. No, Sridhar, I want a real example from your life. I did this happened to me. Not, for example, people, I. What is example?
I faced a situation of a crash-like situations while working. The server crashed many times, and even, so as you know that, once we were attacked and I was in soup, you really thinking nothing worked. Actually, I used to save some files in a ton storage, you believe it or not. That only one ton storage saved us the data of 25 years. Or Alphabet, I'm telling you. Last time I crashed. Nothing, no backup, nothing saved us. That one thing that saved us. So the thing is that really amazed me that, I felt that everything gone. But the thing is that at times you need to believe that nothing will come to your rescue. You need to do something.
Right.
That really worked for me.
It's a very good one. Okay. So, a sort of a corollary of this is no one thing will fix you. There are no silver bullets. Life is too complicated to have hope that just the one thing will fix all your problems. Like you meet the right person, maybe that will solve it for me. I win the lottery, that will solve it for me. Whatever is the thing, it won't solve it. Life is too complex. It won't happen that way. But here is the kicker, is you will go through life feeling inadequate and dissatisfied. Some of you think, what a message Fayez is sharing here. Is that how my life is going to be? Yes. And if any of you tell me that they haven't felt that, dissatisfied, feeling their life is not really optimum, suboptimum, they feel inadequate, for whatever task they're involved in, whatever reputation they have. This is the norm for everybody. So get used to it. There are no shortcuts. That's how you will feel no matter how successful you are, because the more successful you are, the more demanding you are of yourself anyway. So this will continue with you till your last day. The good thing is, it is known. It is not something you should resist and say, I wonder why it's happening to me. It is happening to you, it's happening to everyone else. And the sooner you accept it as the norm, the more life will feel a lot more fulfilling. Be the kind of partner you want to have. Okay? Be the kind of partner you want to have. Here, ChatGPT produced an image of somebody who is a bit unkempt, maybe dirty, maybe just doesn't bother about their appearance, etc. Let me ask you, if somebody was smelly, dirty, unkempt, inactive, always in his pajama or whatever, would you date them? Would you go out with them? Would you accept them for husband or wife? No. So ask that of yourself. Are you the kind of partners that you want? You want it of others, but are you that kind that others will want to be your partner? This is maybe a bit of a difficult one for you to give an example, but I bet you if you're struggling finding a partner, the first thing to reflect on is, am I the kind of partner other people want to have? Because it could be that the issue is with you, not for lack of partners, but people don't see you as a great catch, whether it's for friendship, for marriage, or whatever it is. So you have something to work on. This, I think we've come across it a number of times, but we keep coming to it from different angles. Focus on what matters. Learn to say no. one of the biggest thing time is wasted on is either being ambiguous, not saying yes or no 100%, but the more no you're saying, the more it shows you know exactly what you want in life, and you will do that. You know what you value in your life, and you will do that. And some of us feel awkward to say no. And the worst no is the maybes. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. Waste half of your day. Shall I, shan't I? Will it be rude? Will it be? Very few have the courage to just say straight away yes or no and try it. Maybe not on the most critical issues, but try it. It saves a lot of hassle. So if you can say no more often, you can focus on what really makes a difference to you, what you're passionate about, what you enjoy doing, etc. Anybody recently said no and felt good about it? This is an easy one. You must have said no, unless you are a pushover and always saying yes and regretting it. Come on, you must have said no to somebody somewhere. Let me see. Bala, you're in my view. What do you think, Bala? Are you with me? Have you recently said no to anyone and thought, I'm glad I got out of that easily?
To my thing, no, not much. Say no to it. Only when my wife asks to buy something for her, sometimes I say no to her to save indefinitely.
No, okay. Well, that is saving your pocket, not your passion. Okay, so I don't know whether that example that you should follow. Don't say that to your wife. I don't think that's a good recipe for a happy marriage. So anyway, I believe me, life is a lot simpler when you apply this ruthlessly. It's either a hell yes or a hell no, no in between. This one requires a bit of deep thinking. What is this? Blaming others, give them power over you. Who sees themselves as a philosopher and like to say something about this? So if it's with an example, it's fantastic, but maybe an example doesn't jump to mind straight away, but I definitely don't want to talk about it. I want one of you to say something. Blaming others.
I would like to say something. Well, let me just introduce myself. This is the first time that I'm on one of these meetings. I'm Noha. I just joined.
Yeah.
About a week ago.
Right.
I would like to say something about what I see. Blaming others gives them power over you. And I don't have a personal story to share, but what I see from it is if you play the victim all the time, and if you don't have control over your life and your choices, you end up losing control, basically, over your own life. So instead of playing the victim, you can take responsibility for what you do and the decisions you take. It can be hard. It's easy said than done, but that's my take on it.
No, it's a very good take. A good take. Welcome to the team, Noha. You see another participating soul. We have a very shortage of that. So it's always a help. But
I was meaning to participate even on the first one that you shared, but it was too soon for me. So I was still trying to get to know what the vibe of the whole thing is.
All right. Okay. So definitely catch yourself next time whenever blame comes to your mind, that you are surrendering your power. You're giving the other. When you say, it's their fault, for whatever it is, you were giving power and giving it to them, and you're becoming like a victim, as what Noha said. So you want to be careful. It sounds satisfying to the ego to blame the other, but it's disempowering. And it takes sometimes years to do this. Sometimes you get it in a flash. I hope you got it in a flash this time. Valuable things compound over time. Right? What sort of things compound over time? What do you think? Anything comes to mind that you think over time? When we say compound, it means it's growing, and it's not growing linearly. It is compounding, which is eventually becoming really big deal.
Stocks and mutual funds.
Yes, Praveen, go ahead.
It's stocks and mutual funds, I guess.
Stocks.
Yeah, with the
So investment you're referring to, right?
yes, investments. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And what else? Let's broaden it a bit. Investment definitely can compound. It can go to zero, but if you bought it at 10 and it went to zero, that's fine. But you can buy it at 10 and it becomes 1,000. It can become 10,000. If anybody bought Nvidia or Apple or whatever, they've all compounded incredibly, or Amazon. Okay, so here, some example, health. You say, how does health compound? Well, if you looked after yourself, ate a decent diet, and exercised every day, it doesn't show. I'm putting in X amount of minutes or hours exercising. I don't see a difference. But the compounding means instead of becoming frail, weak, and useless by sort of age 50, 60, 70, 80, it's compounding, and you're finding yourself still feeling fit and young even as you grow older. So health does it, wealth does it, which is investment. Knowledge compounds because the brain is incredible. Despite all the AI, the brain collects all that information and then slowly builds into a wisdom, and you become a kind of a wise person. Confidence starts weak. Slowly, you're not sure of yourself. Suddenly you're a guru of whatever topic you like to be. Relationship that you invest in. So don't be impatient and accept that if anything is valuable, give it chance to grow. As we know, all trees, even the redwood that goes for hundreds of feet, or some maybe 1,000 or more, starts with a seed, but it compounds and grows until it's a giant. Okay, so be patient. These things will happen. This is a little bit unappealing for those who don't like graphs and maths, but if you're patient, I'm not doing anything sophisticated here, but you really need to be aware of these three curves. You all know the linear curve. You put a certain amount of effort, you get reward. Now, this is nice and predictable, but be careful. Because it's nice and predictable, everybody else is doing it. So if your job, let's say you take up a job of a barber, cut hair, how many heads can you do a day? If you're good and you have plenty of traffic, maybe you do 10, maximum 20, and you make so many dirhams a head. Okay, you get your rewards. That's linear. You are never going to be a great success being a barber. Maybe you make a good living. Even a doctor can only become comfortable, but it's a linear curve. And any person or country that grows only linearly, it doesn't work. If you want to achieve great heights, linear curves are good, healthy, but they're limited. So that's one curve. Just keep it in the back of your mind. Whenever you're assessing something, is this linear curve or is it? This is another one. Enjoyment curve. Okay, look at the enjoyment curve. It goes up, then it seems to go down until it's, oh God, I can't stand it. Who can give me an example of that experience? There's an enjoyment, and it gets better with the second bite, it gets even better with the third bite, and then what happens? Whether you're having chocolate or a cake or something, after 2, 3, 4 bites, and then you think, oh God, this is too much, I'm full. And then somebody says, oh, go on, have another bite. And then what do you do?
We know this shape also, Mr. Faiz, this diagram, we know it as like the product circle life.
Amar, I'm really encouraged that you like to participate, but there is a slight rule here. I don't want those who are courageous to participate to dominate also the responses. So I like to think each one of us gets one chance to participate unless no one else wants to do. So thank you very much. Let's allow somebody else to tell us about this curve. Have you had it where fun and enjoyment loses its shine after a while, eventually becomes almost distasteful, and the rewards gets down to zero, where I don't want to see chocolate again? You've had that? I see some shaking their heads, but they're not willing to tell me. You must have had, for instance, at Christmas, if you have a turkey and pudding and sweet and what have you, by the end of the evening, you're sick of food. Or if it's Thanksgiving, or what do you do, let's say in India? What's a feast that you eat and then before it's over, you think, I can't face another bite? That's one of those. Okay? So that's the second curve. So as you're climbing that curve, if you're clever, you don't let yourself reach the peak. I have had something, I didn't know the curve at the time, but I've had a policy that if I am invited to a party, I always leave early. I just like to leave when things are great, not when they're over the hill and, oh God, how do I get out of here? And that you can do with food, with parties, even with the relationship. Sitting and talking small talk forever becomes tiring. Let's see the third curve. This is a strange curve. You start off where it's a negative reward. You're in trouble. Then not doing makes things better. Bit of a strange one, right? You're starting off in negative territory. By doing nothing, you get to positive, you get better. Let me give you an example. If you fall into quicksand, is it good to struggle or do nothing?
Stay still.
Stay still. The more you struggle, the more you will sink. What if somebody dump you in a pool with feet and hand tied? Would you drown? You struggle and struggle to keep your head above water to breathe. How much can you struggle? 5 minutes? 1 hour? 2 hours? How much struggling can you do? Do you know this is a test they do for the Navy SEAL to see who can cope in difficult circumstances. And some can cope and eventually can go on for hours because they reacted in a calm way by doing nothing. You think, what do you mean doing nothing? So watch this. I got you a video to see how does doing nothing work. So you don't struggle, you just let yourself sink. Can you get what this man is doing? If he struggled at the surface to breathe, he would be drowning. But he lets himself sink. That's the doing nothing part. Then kicks and breathe again. And then sink and kick. So in everything in life, often the answer is doing nothing or the minimum, not to do your maximum. If you remember that, you will find that many situations, it's better to stay calm, stay quiet, don't overreact, and see if that is the better answer than jumping all over the place. We tend to think action saves the day. It doesn't always. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. because you will face it in every walk of life. It is difficult to understand something if your livelihood depends on not understanding it. It may sound strange, but it is not so strange. I'm going to give you an example, and I hope you will give me an example. Let's say I go to a barber, since I talked about barbers. Do you think it's a good idea to ask a barber if you need a haircut? What do you think they will say? You think he'll say, oh, no, I don't think so? Her livelihood depends on it. He will advise, take care. What happens when you go to a doctor? How many doctors are going to say to you, no, don't take any medicine? His livelihood, his assessment by the medical director is how much medicine he prescribed. So many things actually reflects this. Let me ask you a difficult questions. Can each of you look at the kind of shoe you're wearing? Nobody's looking. Are you so familiar with it you don't need to look at it? So the shoe you're wearing. Now, if you had to think this shoe was either, let's say it's leather, it means killing cows to provide my shoes. So that could be if you have that kind of thing about the animals. Or it was made in a sweatshop somewhere in a poor country, and I'm taking advantage of that. Or you look at the phone you have. You know, if you have, let's say, an iPhone, and it's built by Foxconn in Taiwan, so many people in that factory were committing suicide because of the nature of the work and repetitive type of work. If you had to understand that, would you be comfortable with your iPhone? So life is structured that we think that we will understand things, but if the motivation, if you like, incentive is to not understand, you will not understand. So any times before you do anything, ask that questions. Is that person I'm asking, or even of myself, are they motivated by anything? Because they will not understand against their own self-interest. And that is really how we see conflict in the world, how we see polarization. Each look at it from their viewpoint. So this applies to almost all these truths. If they conflict with your livelihood, with your salary, let's say, would your salary depends on you disagreeing with your boss, with your manager? Acceptance in that department or the division. If you think I might be not promoted, no salary increase, or fired, you will just go along. You will not understand that what they're doing maybe is not optimum. Maybe that agreeing becomes the norm. So keep that in mind every time you're invited to assess the situation. If your livelihood depends on it, what will be the answer? So I hope you've managed to sort of get something out of all these undeniable truths. There's quite a few of them, but I feel like there's enough here to take us to half an hour. And I'm going to ask you all to rate and leave a comment if you can, and have a great day. Thank you very much.